Hello, everyone, and welcome to How Not to K-Pop with Sean and Henry.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
We are good, and we're delving deep into a bad boy, B-boy, the one and only J Park. We'll cover
Yeah, this boy.
Oh, yeah, boy. We'll
Yeah,
cover.
so J Park.
No,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead.
keep bothering you. I'm gonna keep blocking you. This whole episode will just be getting through the intro.
Yeah, it's
for
40
J Park.
minutes long
It's
of
low,
interruptions. Yep.
Yeah, but no. J Park is something to really look into. It's got quite an interesting history with K-pop, and if you think about it, not trying to put shade on J Park, but it's like he's the unsuccessful reign.
Wow, that's a big call.
Oh.
Unsuccessful reign.
Yeah.
He's pretty damn successful. Like, we are going to cover that a little bit, how he's self-made, hip-hop R&B legend in Korea and worldwide, I would say. He's one of the only South Korean K-pop, K-R&B acts I know that is signed to a US label and runs his own labels. But we'll go into all of that a little later on. And we're covering J Park's not so good side as well. He had a bit of a MySpace meltdown years ago, and it ended up in him leaving the country. We will get into that. And also, some very recent news of some JYP alumni following in his footsteps. And we give love to what J Park does best, breakdancing.
Yes, breakdancing. This breakdance is actually pretty big underground in South Korea as well. So having someone bring that into the limelight is fantastic. Awesome.
Yeah, it's cool that you're a fan. Like, I don't know that much about breakdancing, but you fill me in sometimes. I'm like, damn, that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to practice breakdancing back in high school, and I was horrible. But it gave me a bit of coordination, and the fact that now that I think back on it, holy crap, I used to have some strength in me. Now I'm a big marshmallow, and I can't hold myself up in a simple freeze anymore.
But you do a good podcast. That's
Thank
key.
you. That's why I'm here. Yes, it's why I'm here and not in competitions with breakdancing.
J Park, Park J Bomb, born and raised in Edmonds, Metro Seattle, US of A. And when he was a teenager, he joined the breakdance crew Art of Movement, or AOM. And in 2004, he auditions for JYP in America. He's selected and flown to Korea to train under JYP. So after appearing on Mnet's show Hot Blood Men, which is a show about JYP's group One Day, which was later split into 2 a.m. and 2 p.m., 2 p.m. being J Park's group, they officially debut in 2008 with their single 10 out of 10. He's known as J-Bomb at this time. And he's appearing on variety shows. He's doing some collabs with some really awesome artists like K-Will and Navi. And
now, just before you continue, for listeners who don't know anything about J Park, other than just what we just mentioned, what you'll need to understand is that J Park was not financially well off in his early days.
It was humble beginnings. It really was humble beginnings. And hearing he's getting flown to Korea, like, it's sort of like something out of a movie. This is amazing.
To be scouted and to become a K-pop idol is everyone's dream nowadays. For me, it would have been my dream. Well, it's not really a dream, but it would have been a dream I didn't know I had come true 5 years ago, right? I'm sure Nicole, if let's say 5 years ago she was scouted to be a K-pop idol, she'd be like, oh my god, yeah, because there's your opportunity to do something that, number one, you never thought you were capable of or thought would be an interest to you. And such an opportunity doesn't just come by, every so often. It's very rare. And for them to see talent in you, that really pushes your ego up, So J Park, not well off, but JYP, just here's the money. I'm going to fly you in. We'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. You're going to debut in the world of Korean music.
And he does debut in 2008, but 1 year later, September 2009, J Park leaves 2PM and he goes back to Seattle for a much needed break. He performs with AOM and he starts a YouTube channel in 2010 with a viral video of a cover of the hit Nothing But You by B.O.B. and Bruno Mars. And in July 2010, J Park goes back to Korea for the movie Hype Nation. He's signed to Citus HQ, and he later releases a solo debut EP, Count On Me. To a little bit of fanfare, they didn't really promote it, but it was number 32 on the Gaon year-end charts. And he's collaborating with people such as the Illionaire Crew, The Quiet, and Doki. And he even appeared in a movie, Mr. Idol. So he's hustling already in his comeback to Korea.
He's really doing really well during that period on his own. Like, this is after leaving 2PM and on his own gets back into the world or get into his style of music. Because, you know, K-pop is a style and 2PM had their style. They had their personality, you could say.
Absolutely.
And when you leave it, then you don't necessarily need to separate the kind of personality that 2PM had, and that what you may have joined in with. Now that you separate it, you can then show off your own personality, your own style in K-pop or Western pop, R&B, hip hop, dance, whatever you like. So J Park, after leaving, he became more free, and because of that, he suddenly performs with AOM, collaborates with Quiet, Doki. He gets number 32 on the Gaon year-end charts for Count On Me after having left 2PM, after having left the people that backed him.
Right,
like
he's
JYP
independent
backing
now.
him.
So to be 32 as an independent artist, that is impressive, for sure.
He went back to being financially not well off and became well off and got back into the scene. That's crazy, man. That's great. That's awesome.
And Citus HQ, it's worth mentioning his label that signed him. They manage first wave K-pop legends G.O.D. and also some famous actors and actresses, so Kim Hye-yoon of Sky Castle most notably. And he also starts working with Cha-Cha Malone, who he would later form Higher Music with, and we'll get all into that in a moment.
Is Cha-Cha Malone a dude or a woman?
Yeah, it's a guy. In fact, he's African-American a little bit. I think he's mixed, though, yeah.
For people who, I don't know who Cha-Cha Malone is, and I never searched the dude up, but every time I listen to a J Park song, and it's usually a girl with a seductive, deep voice going, what is it? What is that line?
Cha-Cha beat boy.
Yeah, so
right.
my assumption is that it's a girl, and my second assumption is J Park and this Cha-Cha Malone dating?
Oh, that's not the case. Sorry to best you.
That's not the case at all. But I thought Cha-Cha Malone was a chick. I was wrong.
The more you know. So a couple more successful releases follow Count On Me, Take a Deeper Look, and New Breed in particular. And in 2013, J Park forms his own label, AOMG, and he releases Evolution in 2014. And the AOMG roster is epic. Grey, Loco, DJ Wegun, Simon Dominic, Hoodie, all these basically now considered legends in the rap space, the K-hip-hop space. And his next few releases, J Park's next few releases, they chart high on Billboard's World Albums chart, so a US-based company. So Worldwide Albums, number 5, for Evolution, and Everything You Wanted was number 3, his next follow-up to Evolution. In 2017, J Park forms Higher Music with Cha-Cha Malone, and J Park is also signed to Jay-Z's label Rock Nation for his US stuff. Amazing.
This is his step into the West.
Right, and the label he formed with Cha-Cha Malone, Higher Music, it's got that Seattle artists and Korean artists. It's got Raz Simone, PH1, Sick K, Woogie. It's a really cool concept to combine these two cultures together to create basically the best music you can.
Yeah,
ultimately, if you're mixing cultures, I think you do get a better sound out of it, just a more interesting sound.
And at this point, it's where I mentioned he's like Jay-Z becomes a bit of an unsuccessful Rain.
Would you say Jay-Z is a bit what?
Not Jay-Z, J-Park.
Oh, J-Park. Right.
Yeah, not Jay-Z. No, yeah, they're separate. But,
I sort of get what you mean now, because he is worldwide, but he's also he's not Rain. That's just a fact. He's not quite Rain's status.
You need to understand what Rain's done. For people who don't know, check out our Rain episode on Rain, which was released
like a month ago.
Weeks.
Yeah,
probably a month ago. Anyway, check it out. It's one of the older episodes. But in regards to Rain, he's a world star, and he literally paved the way for other K-pop artists to enter the Western music scene. Not just the Western music scene, even Hollywood, because Rain eventually acted in movies. He acted in Speed Racer, Ninja Assassin, where he was the lead actor in a Hollywood film. And the guy's a singer, and suddenly he's acting in Hollywood. He brought K-pop to across the West, and his style actually incorporated Western music, Western R&B with a minor K-pop elements. It brought it back to, showed it off to South Korea. That's how he got big. So he was like the best of both worlds, and he was successful for it. He was good. J-Park, he's good. J-Park has the skills, the style. He's got his niche as well, because he's very good with R&B. He's very good with hip-hop. But compared to what Rain has done, for some reason, J-Park doesn't meet the success that Rain achieved. Even though Rain paved the way, you'd expect, by 27, Rain did this back in mid to late 2000s. So, and it's by 2017, J-Park forms Higher Music with Cha Cha Malone, gets signed into a Jay-Z label, Rock Nation. This is 2017. But even then, his success in both worlds, at the level that Rain had to go through, it's night and day. Don't you think, Sean?
I think that's a very fair statement, but I also think that J-Park's approach was so different to Rain's, and so I don't think necessarily it's even worth comparing them in a way, just because their approach to their success was so different, and they sought success in such different areas. So in 2019, J-Park announces he's retiring, and we'll get into why a little later on. And in 2020, he posts on Instagram. This is sort of the most recent happening. He's posted on Instagram talking about one last tour. So that's where we're at with J-Park.
I bet you give him like 5 more years, he'll be back.
I sort of feel that way too.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere. Come on.
If the world star can come back after getting married, having a kid, and then get into a random variety show where he, as just part of a television variety show, makes a new random group with a host and another classic last generation singer, J-Park can do his crap. He can come back whenever he wants. All right.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the MySpace meltdown.
Here we go.
We're going back. Way back. All right. 16 years now. 2005. J-Park is in high school, and he's moving to Korea to be a trainee with JYP. And he makes some comments on MySpace, such as, quote, "Korea is gay. I hate Koreans. Korea is whack," unquote. 2009. 2PM's just debuted. J-Boom is part of a big JYP group, very successful. So naturally, there's haters. Netizens go after him and they dig up his past and these MySpace posts from 2005. And it blows up. This becomes a very huge deal. A lot of angry people. So September 4th, J-Park posts an apology. As I tell all of you about how I felt that time, I also would like to apologize. In January of 2005, I came to Korea as a high school student. I was born in the States and I had insufficient knowledge of how Korea is. Being it my first time, I couldn't communicate with others, my taste buds didn't fit, and I barely knew the culture which I couldn't understand. I felt as though I was treated coldly by the people around me as my family was left in the States.
So this is early in his career. He's training to be an idol. So he's left his family. He's left his country. He's in a foreign world.
He's alone,
doing,
to be frank. He's alone.
And
yeah.
his English is better than his Korean at the time, I believe.
Right.
So he's going to have a huge, like, not emotional trauma, but
emotional stress.
Yeah. Exactly. And it would be a mess. He's young. He would not necessarily know how to handle it. He's 2005. He's a high schooler, right? When he started doing the training for JYP Entertainment. So when you're young, you quote, not quote, but you comment very, very, sometimes very harshly, offensively, and you don't really care about others as much because you're just trying to quote, you're just trying to let off steam. You're trying to express your frustration. At the time, MySpace was huge. Social media was just barely getting started, and that was a way to let off steam. But nowadays, if you do that online, it's going to be immortalized forever, and people from anywhere around the world can bring that crap up and use it against you. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with expressing your frustration. What was wrong is the fact that, he had to do it online. I don't know if you agree with that.
In a public space. No, that's right. And we covered that with the Tiara episode, the Tiara scandal. Just keep it private. If you're gonna have these thoughts or say these controversial things that will piss off a lot of people, keep it private. Keep it to yourself, in fact.
Yeah. J-Park, though, he's different from all the other members of 2PM at the time.
Right.
So he'll tell you. So J-Park, as Sean continues reading the apology, J-Park will actually, or even the boss of JYP Entertainment, JYP himself, will mention the type of person J-Park is and how his comments, writing out like that, is part of, it's what he would do. He's someone who would express his frustration and not hold himself back, let it in, and not tell anyone. That's not the type of person he is. So, yeah, continue, Sean.
Yep, he goes on. It was such a difficult situation where I didn't even know if I was going to debut. Due to many hardships, things were getting too hard, and I was getting lonely being homesick. I had the thoughts of quitting, and I wanted to go back to my family in the States. The comment based on the career part. I wrote that because of my personal situation I was placed in, and my emotions took over. I was too young and said things in the wrong words. I was too foolish, young, and facing difficulties where I made the mistake into turning my surroundings worse. Time passed by and I forgot that I had even written them. I am now embarrassed and truly sorry of those comments I had made. After that time, I had adjusted to everything and my thoughts have changed tremendously as I thank the people around me to get me to perform on stage in any situation.
Exactly.
Right.
You grow up, you become a more mature person. Back then, Comic Sans was a huge thing.
Oh my gosh, it was.
Right? Like, I look at my past, or people can pick out a certain part in my high school life where, oh my god, Henry used Comic Sans. Henry used Leet Speak. When people use
all the numbers randomly placed inside words. Oh
my
dear.
My god. Like, you think text messaging nowadays is shorthand and making people forget their grammar? Mate, when texting first started in social media, like MSN Messenger came.
Yeah.
we were writing with like not the commas, with numbers, and then using the colons. You use the dashes. You use that line. You know how you got the backslash and the forward slash, and then there's the one that's just a middle line.
Yes.
Like vertical.
Yes.
Vertically down. Yeah. Yeah. We use that. We use a vertical line, a dash, and a vertical line, and that's H. That's how I write my name. Okay. That's high school period. Using Comic Sans combined with that sort of cringy trend at the time. My god, you pick it up now, you can talk crap about me all you like, and you could. So much
Without
ammunition.
doubt, I'd say every single person that I've ever met has stuff they did in high school that makes them cringe. Whether it's shoes they wore, clothes they wore, a haircut they got, or something they said, something they did, the way they talked, the way they walked, anything, it does make them cringe. There is something in their high school years. And unfortunately, Jay Parks is kind of extra severe in a way, but it's high school. He was growing up still.
That's right. You don't realize how the problems that could happen, the consequences that could happen until years down the road, and assuming people just pick it out again. So in Jay Park's situation, people picked it out, brought it back up into the limelight. Like, was it 2005? They brought it back up in 2009, right? 2009?
Right.
Yeah. In 2009. So that's like people going, Henry, did you know when you play down ball, you used to give names to your moves? That's cringe, man. What do you... Yeah, so you're telling me that when I'm like 20 years... It's like, that was 20 years ago. Oh my God.
No, right. It gets to a point where it doesn't really matter, or it's just the situation is more like we've all moved on from that. Which
they're calling me
I kind of feel like
weeaboo.
Jay Park in 2017 sort of summed it up in that way. He says, I was in culture shock. I was very ignorant. I was very naive. I said some comments. Someone dug up some of the comments that I said. Korea's whack. I don't know what's going on. That's how you talk when you're young. Like, Korea's gay. Over here, everyone talks like that, but if you translate it literally, they were like, Jay Park's racist. He doesn't like Koreans. That's sort of what we were saying, but I think that very last comment is sort of true as well. Like, we, in high school, just to fit in, I was saying, like, awful, awful things in hindsight, but at the time I was like, I'm so cool, I'm saying these awful things,
Everyone knows of the N-word. The N-word that you're not allowed to say.
Right.
To represent African Americans, right?
Right.
So, I've actually said that word in primary school.
Yeah. Like, you're a child and you want to be cool, so you see others doing it in some situation, and you're like, I want to be cool too. So I do sympathize with that a little bit.
Yeah, I've used that N-word when I was in primary school, right? This is like grade 5. I'm 11. All the kids were secretly using it without the teachers knowing.
Well, that's it. Nope, sorry, Henry. Yeah. You're going to have to move country like Jay Park. You're going to have to leave.
I'll join the army.
Yeah, join
the army like SS 501, SS 501.
Kind of a good tactic, though, eh? People would forget if you just ceased to exist in their general vicinity. Just move 500, 5,000 kilometers away.
Yeah, or you could just change your MySpace account.
Yeah. What? That's not me. That's Park J. Park J said those things.
I'm Payjark. Hello. I'm Payjark, not J Park, no.
It is cool that he owned up to it, actually, looking at it that way. Like, he took responsibility. That's really mature of him.
Yeah, he matured. Absolutely.
And JYP, well, this is how we'll end this segment. JYP actually gave some really awesome words regarding this. Quote, I've received much shock from what Jaeboom wrote 4 years ago to his friend. So he wrote this in 2009. Could it have been another celebrity? I myself would have felt much anger, resentment, and abandonment at his words. But I have known Jaeboom for so long that those words are not surprising to me. I already knew Jaeboom was that kind of child. When Jaeboom first came to Korea 4 years ago, he was very rebellious and out of line. To Jaeboom, there are only two types of people. His family and those that are not his family. If I were him, I would have made the same decision. The most important thing is that Jaeboom is not 2PM's Park Jaeboom, but a child, a teenager Jaeboom. So JYP, first off, the man who would know him on a very personal level forgives him. That's kind of important. And he sort of gives insight into how J Park was being forced to be this persona at JYP, and he was being trained and forced not to act himself, which J Park just fundamentally, his values, he can't do that.
Yeah, the world of idleness, population. No, the the world of being a K-pop idol is very tough because you have a personality that may not necessarily be suitable to the public. So you do have to change or exaggerate certain
Right.
parts of you. And here's something you need to understand. J Park was part of a group of 2PM, and 2PM as a group had to exude a certain personality, a certain style. So that way when people think of 2PM, they think of that style. But if there was one guy or two guys in the group that were completely different to the style of 2PM, then suddenly they think of 2PM, but they may not think of the style of 2PM. They might think of 2PM this person or 2PM that person. It brings up those specific people instead, and that creates problems with the image of the group. And obviously you don't want to do that. The group is a group. You are one whole rather than just separate here, separate there, this person, that person, that person. As 2PM, you are a whole single being. You all together, all these people make up the group. And if one of you are out of line or whatnot, it breaks that image. It breaks that personality or personalization of that group, and suddenly it doesn't seem to be working properly. It doesn't seem like it's a group anymore. It's a mess. It becomes a problem. So
Right.
that's
and
why
JYP recognizes that basically. And even though he valued J Park and wanted him to remain at 2PM just because he knows how talented he is and how amazing 2PM could be with him, he also totally understood and respected that J Park is his own person and he can't really bend to anyone. He has to be himself at all times.
Absolutely. Remember, JYP took J Park from another country. Like, not didn't steal him, but not kidnap. But
Right.
so saw potential basically and trained him up. But J Park is not. How do I say? He's not born in South Korea. He's American. He's Korean American. He's just born in America. Okay, he's born and grew up in Edmonds Metro, Seattle, USA. His personality reflects that the nation, not nation, but reflects the American. I'll
Yeah,
say
because he was brought up there. Right. So he now has
Exactly.
values similar to, the values of a Korean American, basically, not a South Korean who grew up in Seoul or in Busan or, in those places. Right.
Yeah, here's something else that I find, at least what what my parents tell me from experience is that those or Asians who are brought up from the West are much more individual. They have they show off more their independence. They're willing to do things outside of what's comfortable or traditional because they're brought up to have that freedom, to have that bit more freedom and a bit more open mind in that sense. And then compared to those from Asian countries, they tend to be a bit more traditional, have a bit more focus, a bit more culture, and in a way that limits or narrows their willingness to try new things or look at something from a different perspective. They're not able or not willing to because they've been taught from a young age to keep in this sort of mindset. So they become less individual and they're more like, you got to hold back. You got to keep everything. You have to have this. You got to bow down. You got to be nice to everyone. Always show respect and always be showing respect to your seniors, even if they're mean to you. It doesn't matter. Whereas in the West, if they're mean to you, tell them to off. I don't care how old you are. Off. Like, get lost. If you're mean to me, I'm not respecting you no more. You know what I mean? So you got these two things as well. That's something else.
Yeah, there's
to be aware
culture
of.
clash. It wasn't just a culture shock. There was culture clash. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so, yeah, JYP, man, good on you, mate. Good on you.
Well, maybe. I don't know. With our next bit of news, I have a feeling that maybe something's going on at JYP because one of JYP's biggest groups ever, GOT7. The members didn't renew their contracts at JYP, and one of them is leaving for J Park's label AOMG.
Well, he sees the potential that AOMG has for this.
Oh, so he was like, yeah, it's cool, you can leave. He didn't put up a fight.
Well, I bet you JYP is like, oh, I can see that you've got this potential that I think J Park's label, AOMG, might help you much more than what JYP Entertainment can help you with. That's why, like, here's something you need to understand about JYP. All right, JYP Entertainment and the big head honcho, JYP himself, the man himself. JYP has a habit of letting go people with really good potential who end up becoming famous idols
on their own,
on their own, or in other companies, other entertainment companies.
Right, like Ray way back when, and yes, right.
Right. I think I don't remember necessarily who. Was it IU?
Well, Sunmi as well of Wonder Girl.
There's Sunmi, Toa from former member of AOA. There was EXID's Honey.
Yeah.
As well. They all applied to debut, or not debut. They applied to be an idol and train under JYP Entertainment. And JYP himself was like, yeah, nah, sorry, mate, you don't fit. You don't work with our entertainment company. Sorry, bye. And they ended up becoming famous in other groups, in other companies, making their own names. They become competition to JYP's own groups. Crazy, man. That's something you need to remember about JYP. Okay.
I think it's a little simpler though. I think it does come down to, if we boil it down to the simplest thing, I do think it's money. I think this is a decision made based on finance and money. And these members are leaving their contracts rather than leaving JYP, as in they still look upon him favorably and they're grateful to him and what have you, but the contract they couldn't agree on. They just couldn't get the pay they wanted. They couldn't get the money they wanted.
Well, hold up. But GOT7, like J Park's successful in his own right, okay?
Yeah.
GOT7 is hella successful in their own right. So how could money be a problem when GOT7 has success?
Right. I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm just saying that they want a bigger cut because they see themselves as so successful, and JYP possibly wasn't willing to give that to them or something along those lines. So the members felt it best to just part ways with the label and continue to be successful elsewhere where they can get a little more money.
Yeah, thinking about it, if you've watched the music videos, a lot of reactors tend to mention, or at least from what I've seen on YouTube, that a lot of the K-pop reactors tend to say, "Oh, look at the amount of effort they put in their music videos, their costumes, the makeup, everything. There's so much work put into it. There must be a lot of money thrown into it to really stand out just for a music video." You look at the West, it's just a hand camera and Ed Sheeran on a guitar, right? You do that, that's it. Or you have someone, and then the other half is the same camera. You just follow a hot girl around and occasionally cut back to Ed Sheeran. So very simple stuff here. But in the world of K-pop, there's just so many wardrobe changes, so many set changes, all the lights, and the amount of money thrown into getting the choreography, getting the right DJ or the right collaborators. There's so much money put into it that any pay, it just seems like any pay that whatever group is, like let's say GOT7, any money that comes into GOT7, at first the money goes and pays everything else, all the other expenses, and they're huge. You look at the music videos, it looks like it costs like millions of dollars just to, or probably 10 millions, tens of millions from the looks of it. Like, that's a lot of money gone, and then whatever's left over would be considered the income for the group, for GOT7 in this case. And yeah, I guess it does make sense now that I think about it, that GOT7 wouldn't really get much of an income because most of the money just gets gets lost into paying off equipment in a way.
No, right on. There's so many expenses in being an idol that the actual royalties they would receive would not be that much. And
That's what.
the members that are leaving specifically are Yugyeom is going to AOMG, and one of the mixed members, an American member, Mark, is going back to America, just like Jay Park did all those years ago.
These guys are J Park J Park version 2 and version 3. Like, come on.
They're going to have huge R&B careers from this point onwards, massive hip-hop careers.
Well, think about it. Perhaps with AOMG, they don't use as much money for their music videos. Maybe they put more emphasis on the idol themselves.
And maybe that's attractive to Yugyeom. Maybe, yeah, without doubt, JYP is continuing to be successful. So it's more to your taste. Like, what are you looking for in the way you're treated by your company? Because in a way, they're all good to certain people. It's a subjective thing. So yeah, just find the right label for you, basically.
Yeah, I think for Yugyeom leaving JYP and going to AOMG, which is again J Park's label, I betcha it's what AOMG has to offer. That Yugyeom likes. It's gotta be the hip hop side. It's gotta be, right? I don't see
agree.
AOMG really doing anything. Their main music would be hip hop if you think about it.
Right.
Yeah, it's dance. The choreographies is much less. It's much more hip hop rather than the kind of choreographies you see in a lot of K-pop groups.
Yeah,
like those are
hard.
Those are hard choreos. If you learn a dance from, let's say, Twice, you learn a dance from GOT7, you learn whatever. Those dances, those moves, that's part of a choreo, but you can't use it if you had to improvise on the spot. Maybe Yugyeom likes how for J Park's label, the choreos, sure, they have a choreo, but those moves are like basic moves that you learn, and when you master them, you can improvise with them, like basic hip hop moves. You know the basic hip hop moves, and suddenly you can do basic hip hop to any song with your own style. You know what I mean? And maybe J Park's label offers that side of things, and Yugyeom finds that attractive.
Since we're talking about dancing, breakdancing. J Park is a b-boy. He actually has some really amazing Instagram videos he did during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic of him dancing in apartments or hotels or what have you, breakdancing. And I love those videos, and I just wish breakdancing was much more of a thing than it is, especially with the advent of TikTok. Like, why isn't everyone breakdancing again?
TikTok, really? Because the general population can't breakdance. They don't have the physicality for it.
Let's hard. Be honest. Breakdancing is hard.
Yeah, hella coordination and strength. Without a doubt, you need strength. You need a bit of balance as well.
That's what makes it so cool. I think the fact that it's hard makes it so cool because you respect the skill. Just like, I guess, ballet. Not that ballet's cool, but you respect ballet because of you recognize how hard it is to do.
Absolutely. Breakdancing is like doing gymnastics, but it's number one, it's to music. Number two, at some points, it feels like a fight. I believe, or it feels like, to me, it feels like a breakdance, a b-boy battle, a breakdance battle, a duel is like fighting for turf. You have one group versus another group. And instead of them like shooting each other with guns or stabbing each other or having drug wars, instead, they send out 3 of their best b-boys, their best breakdancers. One group sends out 3, the other group sends out 3, and whoever group has the best moves to top the other group, they win the turf. Like that. That's how they do their battle.
Wow.
I believe breakdancing also had some influences from martial arts.
But no one dies. How good is that?
No one dies. Well, I don't think anyone's died from breakdancing. I'm not sure. Has anyone died?
I hope not. I don't believe anyone has.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, no, hold up.
Because it's different
Has anyone?
if the person was breakdancing then got shot. That's technically
What?
not dying by breakdancing.
So there is one. This is back in '84, though.
1984, someone died of breakdancing.
Yes, a man doing a complicated breakdance routine died after he fell and dislocated his neck. He was 27 years old.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
R.I.P.,
Remember,
dude.
these are if you're doing power moves that are like you're doing gymnastics in the air without any bars or whatever. Yeah, there's always some sort of risk that you
There
might
is
end up hurting
risk.
yourself,
Yeah.
and it could be really bad. You could end up like this gentleman.
And that
Yeah,
makes it
doesn't say his name.
even cooler. I respect it even more. Technically, these B-boys are putting their lives on the line.
Yeah,
Wow.
but the stuff they do is absolutely amazing. You never think it's humanly possible, and that's just breakdancing. There are other styles of hip hop that are just as crazy. I remember watching a YouTube video where it had machine, human, alien, and it showed 3 different styles of dance, hip hop dance. That one showed very machine, so like the robot, but the modern kind of robot. So it's a lot of popping,
Yeah.
locking. Yeah. You got human, where they decide to make it a bit more dramatic. So they show off breakdancing, the real strong power moves, where they're flying in the air doing these whirly twirlies, and it looks impossible, but they're able to do it without any problems. And suddenly they do a freeze on one hand on the ground, the rest of their body's in the air, perfectly bounced, doing a star shape, and they're giving the opponent the finger. Like, that's the human. And then suddenly the alien one is, those hip hop dancers, the bone breakers. You heard of them, Sean?
Yeah, I have. Bone breakers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Bone breakers, yes. So they don't break their own bones, but
No.
because of the joints that they have, they can do certain moves that the general person would not be able to do.
Right.
It's hard to say, but
Oh, it looks
you search up.
insane. Honestly, it
Yeah.
looks unnatural. It looks not human. Honestly.
You know, like the movie Exorcist, the girl doing the back thing, going down the stairs. Imagine that, but to a song.
Yeah. Imagine
Right?
twice doing that. Wait.
Oh god.
Okay, I've lost my mind there. But my point being, why
Yeah.
aren't more K-pop groups doing this breakdancing stuff? Why isn't the dance to Like Ooh Ah a head spin followed by a freeze?
It's been followed by a freeze. First of all, it's not easy doing a head spin into a freeze. You need a lot of work
A
to
lot of
get
control,
into that
a
experience.
lot of
man.
abs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's breakdancing. Breakdancing is crazy, but there are some really crazy hip hop styles out there as well, just as awesome. And yeah, without a doubt, like I did breakdancing. The best I could do was a cricket. Search it up. Go on YouTube.
Awesome.
Search it up.
Yeah,
And-
you're spinning around on your hands. Yeah.
Yeah, technically it's one hand for the balance. On one hand does the spinning and it hops. The other hand is balanced and it helps to push. Your legs don't touch the floor. You're just it's just these 2 hands. One you got your elbow stabbed into your abdomens as well.
Right.
It's painful.
Right.
You're off the ground. Only your hands are on the ground and you're spinning in a direction in like a clockwise or anti-clockwise direction, I forgot. And you're hopping on the one hand as well. That's a cricket. I was able to do that. That was a breakdancing move, and that's considered a basic power move. Okay?
It looks hard as hell.
It is hard as hell. And I was able to do it in like when I got to year 11. And that's the only move I was proud of. Everything, I couldn't do anything else. I could do a 6-step. Probably most people know what a 6-step is. A freeze, nice and easy. You just stop doing what you're doing. That's a freeze. It can look stupid, but if it fits with the beat of the song, people will love it.
Right.
But when you do power moves, it's completely different. And yeah, Jay Park, he was a b-boy. He could do that crap. He would rip me apart if we ever met and did a breakdance battle. He would win all the turf that I had to offer. He would just take it all and go, "Thank you, Henry," and also don't talk about me in your podcast.
Well, lucky for us, but primarily you, B-Boy Henry.
Yeah.
Jay Park's retiring.
Oh, is he?
So in April 2019, on Twitter, Jay Park
That was 2 years ago. Was that 2
Yes.
years ago?
Yes.
Oh Jesus! Oh, I'm hella out of this. Okay, go on.
So he writes on Twitter, I'm going to retire in a couple years. This is a promise to you guys and myself. Not a lot of space for guys like me left in this game. Okay, so here's how I took this. J Park, if it isn't obvious, is an Asian. Is this him saying, I'm retiring because of racism that he's experiencing in America under Rock Nation?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, like, how do you interpret not a lot of space for guys like me left in this game?
Well, I guess I can agree because if you think about it, there's not a lot of Asians in the music scene, especially in the West,
And
that are
hip hop,
successful.
hip hop especially, hip hop in the US, fact is, it's African American. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about, in a way, like they're not niche, but they give the impression to a general audience. It does feel like hip hop is a niche, unless because they know more about what's.
I sort of know what you
hip.
mean. There is that whole
trendy
cult where they say underground. I'm underground hip hop.
Yeah, they're talking about like true hip hop, true
right,
hip hop stuff you don't hear on radio. Hip hop that's not on radio is like the true hip hop, the underground stuff, the niche. I don't know if they really call it that.
So are you saying that J Park feels there's no space in that scene for him?
Well, number one is the competition. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then number two, it's not something that trends. You don't hear straight hip hop on the radio. You hear the big songs because they're trendy, but you don't hear all kinds of hip hop that make up the scene of hip hop. You don't get that. So that's the other problem. It just seems like there's not enough, well, not necessarily money, but there's not really much to gain for him, no matter how hard he pushes. That's one. Number two, that's just in the West. Now, imagine if he goes back into K-pop. His style is not a K-pop style compared to groups nowadays like girl groups, aespa and Twice, and then the boy groups. Let's say
like Gravity, Treasure, yeah,
even BTS. Comparing to BTS, but comparing to EXO, J Park's style is just not like that. He doesn't do trendy styles. He doesn't do that kind of music. It's just not him. He's as much more expressive. It's not really about symbolism. It's more about the direct expressions and having that nice smooth hip hop and hey, it's much more Western influenced. So competing with those other groups, and K-pop has hella competition as well, with whole bunch of groups, and half of them are pretty boys. Let's be honest, they're all like good-looking guys. Remember, it's like two members from BTS, or two from GOT7, well, formerly GOT7 now, are like are in the top 100 sexiest men of 2020.
Right.
You can check it out in the end of year special for How Not to K-pop. We talked about that. Yeah, so he's got competition both sides. J Park can't do much, so he's got nothing left that he can really provide. Unless I recommend he sticks with YouTube. Go online.
Well, here's what he said he is going to do from his retirement, quote unquote, onwards. He said this in September last year, 2020. If you're listening in 2030, bleep bloop, hello.
Sure.
I'd continue to manage my label. Since I have the abilities, knowledge, and network of the industry, I'd continue to do that. But I won't come out to film content, music videos, go on TV, or model for magazines. That's what I'm retiring from. And I think this is a power move that a lot of the second wave idols should do now, such as his former mates at 2PM. Maybe they should go into this kind of background roles, producing, hosting, emceeing, if they're not already, and just staying active in entertainment, but in the background or in a different medium like TV.
So you're saying J Park's trying to pave the way for future idols who, after finishing their lifestyle of being a K-pop idol, they can then move on to background work in the entertainment industry.
I just think
Right.
that's good for the fans because it means fans still have that opportunity to see their beloved idol. It's not like the idol retired, became an accountant, and you're never going to see them again.
Or you see the idol who used to be famous. Suddenly he's the bodyguard that protects the current idol, and then he has to jump in line and get hurt by random crowds of fans.
Oh, goodness.
And he's protecting this 19-year-old idol. he's crying, and at night he cries to himself, looking at this old photo of him and his past members. How when he was 19 years old, a former K-pop idol who became a bodyguard had to do the same thing for him.
Well, that's exactly it. That's a reality that idols face. What comes after my career? Because it has to end eventually, unless you're a mega legend like Rain or someone.
From Girls' Generation.
Right.
Big
They
Bang.
do have to very seriously think about life after their K-pop careers, and there's so many sadder stories where they sort of just become sort of low income freelance models or stuff like that, like infomercial actresses or actors. You know, it becomes a bit, it's just
shady.
sad. Yeah. So I think that
it might end up
J-Park won't become that because of these moves he's making, and that's why he's so smart.
But it does seem like there have been former idols that have gone into more shady areas, not necessarily because they want to, but because they end up getting pushed into it. And that is a story for another episode, which there are groups that have gone down that road, or more specifically, members or former members from groups that disbanded groups that have gone down that road, not necessarily through their own decision making, but forced into it. Yeah,
Right on.
that's definitely an episode in the future. So stay tuned for that one. You'll know which one it is when we announce it.
That brings to a close another episode of How Not to K-Pop. Covered J-Park, you know, a legend, someone I've actually seen live once, and he was incredible. The performance was absolutely amazing, and he's a true legend of Korean hip-hop. Not specifically K-pop, but Korean hip-hop and rap. He is very respected and will go down in history as, well, a hustler, first off. The guy does so much work, and I think that he's made a couple missteps, but overall, an amazing artist.
No, I agree. J-Park, he is successful in his own right. And at the start, when I'm saying he's like an unsuccessful version of Rain, well, if you're talking about what they both achieved, they're completely different areas. So they have achieved what they wanted to achieve, what they were capable of achieving. Is J-Park successful? Absolutely. Is J-Park successful like Rain? No, because they're completely different people with completely different successes. Can't really compare them, and I was wrong to compare them. J-Park, you're the man. Hopefully in 5 years, you'll be back in, doing some songwriting. Suddenly you're rapping and then singing again. And then your YouTube channel will be in the millions with views. And then you'll have an album out.
Let's actually end this with one last question. J-Park, does anyone care?
Well, you do. I care. I care.
Well, I think he has continued to have active fans, and no one's forgotten J-Park, partly because of how much the guy hustles, and also he does a variety of content. For example, he appeared on one of those talent shows, Asia's Got Talent it was called. So just he's always around, and he's always in the scene, making moves, releasing music. It's that consistency that's kept him relevant. He hasn't had a scandal and just gone away for years and years.
In a way, it feels like J-Park is a good person to get in contact with so that you can meld the two industries of music, K-pop and the Western music scene together. He knows both worlds.
Cool.
So
I'll email him after this. No.
Well, you do make music, so Well, basically, you know, J Park, he can help you out with both scenes, and then because I want J Park to be relevant, I believe what he has to offer in the background can lead to a unification of both genres of music from K-pop and the Western music scene. Even now, when you listen to BTS in the radio, you know BTS is Korean, and it's an outlier. It's the only Korean group you listen to on radio that you allow to listen to, and it's mostly only just that one song. You don't listen to anything else. The rest is just Ed Sheeran, Shawn Mendes, Ariana Grande, whatever. And it's only just that one song, Dynamite by BTS. Even then, it just feels like Korean music. Sure, it's on the radio right now, but it still feels like an outlier.
I know exactly what you mean. That J Park is more like a Korean in the American scene. Rather than a K-pop song becoming a hit in America, he is actually in the American scene and even releasing American music, I would say, as compared to BTS, who are releasing Korean music in America kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. When I listen to Dynamite, it still feels like a K-pop track.
Right, that just happened to be famous worldwide or in America, yeah.
Because they sing it in English, suddenly it's much more easier to play on radio in the West. So, a bit more understandable. Not necessarily as cringy sounding when it's in Korean, because people don't know Korean and they don't want to search up the lyrics to understand what it means. So, J Park, please stay relevant. I believe you are a good way for newcomers or people who want to get into multiple scenes. I believe J Park has the ability to really bring something like that and help these people to create new generations of groups and idols and stars and singers and rappers that then meld, like having a radio station that actually plays both Western and Korean music.
Yeah, right,
for the first time. Yeah, he's the radio station. Boom.
Okay, if you liked this episode, rate it. Rate it 5 stars on Apple. Rate it wherever you rate it. Give it a thumbs up. Like it on YouTube. Anywhere you get your podcast fix. Like, follow, subscribe at SeparatorProd on Instagram. How Not to K-Pop. I'm Sean. That's Henry.
Have a good night, guy. Well, I don't know if it's nighttime, but it was great. See you guys in the next episode.
Till next time.